Hello, I'm Victor Vogel. I'd like to take a minute and explain the reason why I wrote Daring to Become a Renaissance Leader. It was born out of content research for the last 5 or 6 years and over 40 years of leadership and consulting experience to determine why, for the last 6 years, we have been experiencing a decline in perceived leadership effectiveness and employee engagement. The declining leadership trend was happening years in front of the pandemic. The pandemic only brought it from under the covers and really into the light. Over 45 years, I've been a leader for billion-dollar domestic and international corporations and a consultant. I've developed hundreds of leaders. Some have worked for me for over 10 years and have gone on to be their own effective leaders. I've developed and conducted a week-long leadership training program that lasted 4 years and had 95% participation on a voluntary basis, and 97% graduated. And you heard that right. We failed some leaders in that course. I consulted with several large billion-dollar companies, one of which conducted a $25 million corporate transformation, managing a team, and I managed a team of 6 consultants reporting directly to me, and 5 consultants from firms like Arthur Andersen, Watson Wyatt, Price Waterhouse, and many more. I wrote the proposal, I helped sell the contract, I facilitated the assessments, I designed the strategies, goals, and objectives, I facilitated the consulting teams and led the process for 5 years. We had a lot of good success with that program. During that time, I worked with board members, 7 executive staff, and from the CEO on down, 40 mid-level vice presidents, and hundreds of lower employees and leaders. That background and having time while I was in retirement for the last 5 or 6 years to conduct a robust content analysis of the research around leadership effectiveness and employee engagement led me to conclude, for decades, we haven't done a good job of developing leaders. What we missed in those decades was brought out by my study of neuroscience relating to positive thinking and mind management, along with recent emotional intelligence studies. This research pointed out that we have been teaching leaders leadership skills without paying much attention to developing the individual leader themselves. To date, we have several valid leadership assessments that point out strengths and weaknesses. However, we did not take the time to determine the leader as a person and their ability to cope with those strengths and weaknesses, or their ability to assimilate, internalize, and personalize the leadership skills we taught them. Had we been doing this, many of the people selected for leadership would not have been selected, or we would have spent more time developing them personally first to ready them for their leadership role. Sometimes that takes 6 months, sometimes a year or more. Some most likely would have selected out of the leadership program after the learning about themselves through personal assessment. They may have decided, hey, leadership isn't what I really want to be. And that would be a good thing. My book focuses on what leaders of the future need to be able to handle, primarily the modality and the complexity of leadership, and what we need to do to prepare a leader for a leadership role in the future. We primarily need to focus more on enhancing the potential leaders' positive intelligence, emotional intelligence, and interpersonal communication before placing them in leadership. None of these abilities is more important than the other. They must be blended into the leadership development program to develop a Renaissance leader for the future. Thanks for listening. You can find the book on Apple. This is 69 pages. I wrote this book as an ebook for a very good reason. It's 69 pages long, but it's packed full of a lot of information. It's animated with GIFs and explanation videos that can show you, for example, when I'm talking about nonverbal communication, there is an actual GIF in there with someone who is representing a nonverbal communication. Links to and there's also videos in there explaining, for example, the full concept of the interpersonal communication model. There are links to resources and free assessments here. This book is designed so you can carry it around on your phone. And so when you need it, you can just click on it. And if you've got the link, you've got the resource to all the material right there. You can review it before you go in a meeting, or you can share it with someone else who you feel really needs to go learn this information. It's there. It's immediate in real time. You can do that with folks. So it's an easy thing to do, and you don't find in most ebooks. It's embedded with an audio story in the introduction. It's about 17 minutes long. And if you want to listen to that thoroughly before you start the book, so you will sense from the story, you'll have something to draw upon to associate how the information I'm providing the book was used. And then, like I said, there you can keep it available as a resource anytime, any place you want to go. It's on your smartphone. You can just look it up and thumb through it real quickly, get to the spot, refresh your memory, and it's going to be a useful tool for you. Go out and buy it. It's on Apple Books. You need an Apple ID to get in there, but yeah, it's free to sign up for. You go into Apple Books, and it's real easy to find in there. And when you're finished with it, I'd appreciate, if you think it's been a valuable book to you, I would appreciate a review on the book. Thanks a lot, and I hope you enjoy the book.